C.K. Prahalad states in his novel, The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, that upwards of 4 billion potential consumers are being neglected by the global markets and multinational corporations, abbreviated as MNCs. He calls this untapped pool of consumers the bottom of the pyramid, or Tier 4 consumers. These consumers in Tier 4 live in poverty, surviving off less than $1,500 a year. Because of this fact, the overwhelming majority of MNCs do not consider Tier 4 consumers to be a profitable market. Instead, the majority of MNCs allocate their products to Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 consumer markets. By doing so, MNCs are effectively cutting off 2/3 of the world's potential consumers, which in turn cuts off billions, if not trillions, of potential profits. There is merit to the business strategies of these MNCs. This is because the current infrastructure of most MNCs would not support profit in Tier 4 markets. But thanks to C.K. Prahalad, there is now a clear path towards profitability in these Tier 4 consumer markets. First off, MNCs would not be able to pursue high profit margins, or selling products exponentially higher than the cost it took to produce them. Instead, profits are driven by product volume, how much product a corporation produces, and capital efficiency, how cost-effective it is to produce that product. Tier 4 consumers can only buy new technologies if they are cheap and widely available, and these changes would make that possible. Another problem MNCs face is distribution. Most Tier 4 consumers live in areas that are underdeveloped and have limited or no access to new technologies. That means there will be very little advertisement of a corporation's products in these regions. There is not a single MNC large enough to distribute products successfully in Tier 4 markets. They need assistance from local governments, nonprofit organizations, communities, and other institutions to make this happen. MNCs need to partner up with the locals in order for their products to reach their intended target markets. If these two requirements are met, then MNCs will have the ability to thrive in Tier 4 markets. But that is only if they change their corporation's production process and if they partner with local institutions. And that is a very big if for MNCs. That is a big if, but it's not impossible. Already some MNCs are taking a leap into the void and are exploring the Tier 4 consumer markets. Hindustan Unilever Limited, more commonly known as HLL, is considered one of the best managed corporations in India and focuses on serving India's small elite. A small startup company, Nirma Limited, decided to join HLL in the detergent market. But instead of focusing on India's elite, Nirma focused on the hundreds of millions of Tier 4 consumers. Nirma grew so rapidly that HLL could no longer ignore their presence in the detergent market. HLL adopted Nirma strategies and created a new business system that included a new product formula, a low-cost manufacturing process, a wide distribution network, and value pricing. HLL reached out to thousands of small outlets and began selling this cheap new product to Tier 4 consumers. HLL and Nirma grew so rapidly that they turned the detergent market into an oligopoly. Each corporation holds more than 40% of the market share, and they are increasing sales every year. HLL is a great example of how an MNC can thrive when they allocate their resources to Tier 4 markets. Not only is this practice practical, but MNC investment at the bottom of the pyramid means lifting billions of people out of poverty and desperation, averting the social decay, political chaos, terrorism, and environmental meltdown that is certain to continue if the gap between the rich and poor countries widen.
Within our course, we delved into complexities of environmental factors that impact firms, whether this be internal or external. A complexity and dynamism scale is a key model to measure market spaces and how firms must adapt to succeed. On the scale, you will see the range of complexity, the number of elements, and dynamism, the rate of change. In this next model, you can see that with a star, I plotted the bottom of the pyramid market on the high ends of complexity and dynamism. There's this misconception that the bottom of the pyramid is lacking in opportunity. Through research, C.K. Prahalad proves that there is not only a large, unexplored consumer base within the bottom of the pyramid, but rather there is endless opportunities for the betterment of those in need. Firms can enact change if they are willing to persevere through multifaceted needs and demands that will continue to rapidly change. Entering businesses may need to accept that the bottom line can't just be an impressive profit margin. The term of success would need to change. There should be a goal to create self-sustaining, long-term systems for those in need. An outside source that I looked at is based upon the legitimacy of the bottom of the pyramid markets. It emphasizes how firms often fall short. It is not enough to consider the bottom of the pyramid as a consumer base, as you can see in this Model 1. But rather, for the eradication of poverty, there needs to be an intentionality from firms to integrate the bottom of a pyramid into all of the facets of a workforce, whether that be procurement, production, distribution, sales. These lessons are based on evidence. Firms have already been attempting to find ways to help those within the bottom of the pyramid. In the book, there are 8 key takeaways that I highlighted. These are from actual firms learning how to accommodate to the bottom of the pyramid market. While each takeaway deserves its own presentation, it's important to gather that as a leader, one must seek out collaboration and find ways to incorporate those with first-hand experience. This will create a way for you to succeed in all of the difficulties within an external environment.
To understand the connection of international management, we must first learn how it is implemented within the bottom of the pyramid. To begin, C.K. Prahalad shows many examples of companies successfully becoming an MNC and lightly touches on their ability to adapt to and truly analyze their potential Tier 4 markets. What allows for a successful company to become an MNC is their buying power, business strategies, and improving access and aspirations. If an MNC is reluctant to experiment or collaborate with new markets, then finding a competitive advantage at the bottom of the pyramid is unlikely. However, none of these are reached without good management. Management, in basic terms, is the process of organizing and planning things or people. In regards to the bottom of the pyramid, it creates new challenges for the process of managing, a process where you must sell to the poor without disturbing their culture, environment, or economy. The HLL MNC, as stated earlier, was a pioneer of a new wave of management. Their business model was changed in order to best fit their market, whether that was finding a new low price point, not focusing on gross margins, or finding a new market strategy, all of which led them to become successful. In hindsight, the main issue isn't the alarming Tier 4 market opportunities not being taken advantage of, but more so the lack of innovation and creativeness to work with them. As for our future managers, as well as our current MNC managers, there's a large interdependence on the global mindset. The global mindset is the ability to impact organizations and individuals to better understand differences in the world of business. Prahalad also passively expresses the term cultural intelligence. As we talked about in class, cultural intelligence is the ability to understand national culture. More importantly, adapt to new cultural conditions. These skills create an environment where companies and countries can flourish, for example, altering price changes due to a country's low GDP or distributing products through local areas to make it more accessible, all of which are skills that would contribute to the growth of developing countries as well as diversity of perspective as a whole.
Is there a connection to international management? There's also a connection to power and influence. Now, 1/3 of the workforce in the world, which is almost 1 billion people, don't make enough money to support themselves and their families. This is living below the poverty line. Now, businesses need to create more buying power for those who are poor. And C.K. Prahalad touches on 2 interventions for this. The first is to provide access to credit and as well as increase the earning potential of the poor. Now first, we'll talk about 2 examples for providing access to credit, one negative and one positive. Negative is Mumbai, India. 1 in 5 people living in Mumbai are now living below the poverty line, and many people rely on moneylenders in order to start businesses as well as purchase products and services. Moneylenders charge up to 20% interest rates per day. Per day. That's not per year, per month, per week, per day. So let's say a vegetable vendor who borrows approximately $2 in the morning has to return at least $2.50 by the evening. These interest rates are insanely high. But if we look at a more positive example, we can look at Grameen Bank Bangladesh. Now, they have 25 million clients worldwide, and they're extending credit to some of the lowest income customers in the world. These are customers with a lack of collateral, high credit risk, contractual enforcement. Now, candidates for loans, however, must have their proposals thoroughly evaluated and supported by at least 5 non-family members of the community. This provides them the access to credit. Now, they also provide microcredit services in more than 40,000 villages, which is more than half the total number in Bangladesh. They also have a super high success rate of 95% repayment rate. Now, the second intervention was being strategic to increase earning potential. There are 4 building blocks that I want to touch on. First is building layers of advantage. This could be done through increasing minimum wage or expanding earned tax income. Second is increasing innovation. This could be through technology or education, just truly encouraging innovation of new ideas. Third is changing the terms of engagement. This is providing more opportunities within communities. And lastly is competing through collaboration. Now, teamwork was essential for this course, but also for this project. Teamwork is what we've been working on this whole entire semester. It allows for feedback and more efficiency, and as well as new ideas.